Hello guys. So I was studying my Bible the other day and I came across this verse. Although I've seen it before, Genesis 1 verse 27, but for context we'll just maybe start from read verse 26. And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness," King James Version, "and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea." But that's not the way we're going to. So verse 27. So God created man in his own image. This assumes finality. In the image of God created he him. What what did I get from this? God created man, us, me and you to look like him. I put my name, then God created me to look like him, to reflect, you know, him. This happened as I was going over, like asking ChatGPT, countering, you know, God created us to look like him. And the second part of that verse said, "Male and female created he them." Male and female created he them. So what that tells me, what that as I was studying my Bible today, he made male and female to look like him. So if you are struggling with like why God created you, I mean sometimes like why did God even create me? This is at the essence, like this is the beginning, this is like the foundation, you understand? And then you have unique purposes, specific, you know, purposes or things you should do, but you first got to look like God. So God created us to mirror him. So if you're not mirroring him, like you you can't really fulfill his assignments or complete his assignments for your life. So one thing I ask God is that, like, I'm not perfect. No one, God help me to look more like you understand? I look like him in certain areas, like, you understand? I reflect him, but I want to reflect more of God. I want to look more like him. So it says God created man in his own image. He didn't, in the image of God created he him. In the likeness of God did God create him. I once had a dream where, like, I saw myself in completion, who I was meant to be, who I was before I came into this world. You understand? And I looked like God. Honestly, I looked like God when I was there. So, you know, everything else, like, is just deviation. The Bible says all have sinned and come short or fallen short of the glory of God. So it doesn't matter if you were perfect before you came into this world. As soon as you got into this world, bro, like, it's almost destined. You are destined to find God, to go back. You understand? Yeah, like you came short. You came short. Like, you came short. So it's like finding our way back to God and being who God created us to be, who we were originally at first. Like, Pharaoh was not created to be bad. God is not mean. God is not evil. He has a soul. It's just that he eventually chose wickedness. Every other person, that's it. That's so originally we're meant to reflect God's image and character, but we deviated. And some find it and some don't find it back. So, I mean, that's who we're created to be. You recall, like, in this verse, it says, "So God created man." It didn't say God created the man. God didn't just create the man or Adam. I believe this denotes a tone of this is a tone of finality, like, and God rested because he had now created man in his own image. But then we deviated, and people are deviating. So God sent us Jesus because all have come under the law, all have fallen short. God now sent Jesus to die for us to redeem us back to him is now only through him. It's through him that sin can no longer have dominion, because that will no longer be judged. You understand? Will not come into judgment. So condemnation. So that's it, guys. So, and if you don't look like God, you can't fulfill your purpose. You can't fulfill your God-given purpose. You understand? If you don't look like God, if you're not mirroring him every day, or you don't reflect him, you're not growing. You only fulfill your own purpose. You understand? It's possible for you to choose. So look like God. And like I said, he made male and female, so he made us male and female to look like him. Currently, everyone does not reflect God. Currently, the image of God. Non-Christians, people that don't follow, that they deviated. So I will argue that all of us, both bad and evil Saddam Hussein, all of us were originally created to reflect God. In fact, the Bible says that, like, said, and God embarked on a project. God set out on a project man. Understand? To make him man in his image, not in any other person's image, not to look like anyone else but him. So, and back then, verse 27 now connotes a tone of finality. Depicts. So God created man in his own image. Like, this was the completion